Jake Morrison stood at the entrance of the Terran Wildlife Conservation Center, watching the alien transport vessel descend from the morning sky. The ship looked like a massive silver teardrop, completely silent as it settled onto the designated landing pad. He had seen plenty of strange things in his 15 years as head zookeeper, but hosting actual aliens was definitely a first. The ramp extended and out stepped Ambassador Velther, a tall being covered in soft purple quills that reminded Jake of a porcupine crossed with a deer. Behind the ambassador came Dr. Kira Chun, a Cerathian whose blue crystalline skin caught the sunlight in fascinating ways. 3 more aliens followed, each from different species Jake couldn't quite identify. "Welcome to Earth," Jake said, extending his hand before remembering that handshakes might not be universal. He quickly lowered it. "I'm Jake Morrison, and I'll be your guide today." Velther's translator device chirped to life. "Greetings, human Jake. We are honored to visit your wildlife preservation facility." The ambassador's voice carried a musical quality that the translator couldn't quite capture. "However, I must ask, is it truly safe to stand here in the open without environmental protection?" Jake blinked in confusion. "Safe? Sure, why wouldn't it be?" Dr. Chun stepped forward, her crystalline features showing what Jake assumed was concern. "Our sensors indicate numerous predatory life forms within a 5-kilometer radius. The atmospheric composition alone suggests a hostile environment for most civilized species." "Oh, you mean the birds and squirrels?" Jake laughed, gesturing at a nearby oak tree where a robin was singing. "They're harmless." The entire alien delegation took 3 steps backward. "That creature produces vocalizations at threatening frequencies." One of the smaller aliens squeaked. "Surely it's establishing territorial dominance." Jake realized this was going to be a very long day. "Okay, let's start with the basics. Most of Earth's animals aren't actually dangerous to humans. We've evolved together, so we understand each other pretty well." He led them toward the main facility, noting how they all kept their distance from every plant and animal they passed. A butterfly fluttered by, and 2 of the aliens activated what looked like personal shield generators. "Fascinating," Dr. Chen murmured, her scanning device beeping constantly. "Your heart rate remains completely stable despite proximity to multiple potential threats. Are all humans this fearless, or have you received special training?" "I'm just a regular guy who likes animals," Jake shrugged. "Come on, let me show you around." The conservation center sprawled across 200 acres of carefully maintained habitats. Jake had prepared a special route that avoided the big predators, figuring he'd work up to those gradually. He started with the petting zoo area. "This section features our gentlest residents," Jake announced, opening the gate to a pen where several goats grazed peacefully. "Go ahead, you can touch them." Velther stared at the goats like Jake had just invited them to pet a dragon. "Those are hooved quadrupeds with cranial protrusions, capable of inflicting blunt force trauma. They're goats." Jake couldn't help but laugh again. "Watch." He walked up to a brown and white spotted goat named Patches and scratched behind her ears. Patches made a contented bleating sound and leaned into the scratching. The aliens watched in absolute horror as Jake continued to interact with what they clearly considered a dangerous beast. Finally, Lisa Parker, the center's veterinarian, joined them. She was carrying a rabbit. "Hey, Jake, sorry I'm late," Lisa said cheerfully. "Oh, are these our visitors?" "Hi, everyone." She held up the white rabbit. "This is Snowball. Anyone want to hold her?" 3 of the aliens actually activated their shield generators this time. That creature has enhanced sensory organs and powerful rear limbs optimized for explosive movement. Dr. Chun's scanner was going crazy. Its dental structure suggests it can inflict serious wounds. Lisa looked down at the placid bunny in her arms, then back at the aliens. "You scared of a rabbit?" Scared is not the appropriate term, Velther said stiffly. We are simply exercising appropriate caution around Deathworld fauna. Deathworld? Jake and Lisa said simultaneously. Dr. Chen nodded, her crystalline features somehow conveying sadness. I apologize, Human Jake. We assumed you knew. Earth is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld by the galactic community. It is one of the most hostile planetary environments known to harbor intelligent life. Jake processed this information slowly. Everything suddenly made a lot more sense. So that's why you're all so jumpy. Jumpy? Velther's quills bristled. We are exercising survival instincts honed over millions of years of evolution. My homeworld's most dangerous predator was roughly equivalent to your rabbit in size. It took hunting packs of 20 individuals to bring down prey. Lisa set Snowball down gently, and the rabbit hopped away to munch on some clover. And humans just live here normally, she said, realization dawning. We don't think anything of it. The tour continued, and Jake's understanding of the alien perspective grew with each exhibit. The aliens were terrified of the deer. They refused to go within 50 feet of the raccoon habitat. When they reached the bird sanctuary and a peacock spread its tail feathers, one alien actually fainted. By lunchtime, Jake had to sit down and rethink his entire approach. The aliens huddled together in their transport vessel, refusing to eat anything that came from Earth. He could hear them through the open door, discussing whether humans were actually an undiscovered warrior species. They show no fear response whatsoever, one was saying, even when confronted with apex predators. The human female carried a lagomorph-class creature with her bare appendages. Another added, without hesitation. Jake rubbed his temples. How was he supposed to explain that humans were just used to this? That Earth was home, dangerous as it might be to alien standards? He decided to continue the tour, but focus on explaining rather than just showing. The afternoon session went better once Jake started providing context. He explained how humans had learned to coexist with nature, how they'd studied animal behavior for thousands of years, how they'd even domesticated some of the world's most dangerous creatures. Domesticated? Velther asked. You mean you've somehow made them less dangerous? Not exactly, Jake admitted. We've just formed partnerships. Dogs used to be wolves. Cats were wild hunters. Horses were prey animals that could kill with a single kick. But we learned to work together. They reached the end of the planned tour route as the sun began to set. Tomorrow, Jake had scheduled visits to some of the more impressive animals. He had a feeling the aliens weren't ready for bears, big cats, or crocodiles. But there was one more exhibit he wanted them to see today. Before you go, there's something I want to show you, Jake said, leading them to a relatively small enclosure. Inside, a stocky black and white creature waddled around, completely ignoring the observers. It was about 3 feet long with small ears and a distinctive stripe pattern. What manner of creature is this? Dr. Chun asked, her scanner working overtime. That, Jake said with a smile, is a honey badger. The alien scanners all started beeping urgently. Warning! Extreme aggression levels detected. One device announced. Threat assessment, maximum. Jake watched the honey badger dig at the ground, utterly unconcerned with anything around it. The little animal had a reputation across the galaxy now, though it didn't know it yet. This small creature registers as more dangerous than everything else we've encountered today, Velther said in disbelief. How is that possible? Honey badgers don't care about size or danger, Jake explained. They'll fight anything. Lions, hyenas, even humans if they feel like it. They're tough, fearless, and absolutely relentless. Nothing scares them. The aliens stared at the small mammal in fascination and horror. You keep such a creature here? One whispered. Voluntarily? Jake just shrugged. Welcome to Earth. The next morning brought clearer skies and even more nervous aliens. Jake arrived at the conservation center to find the entire delegation already waiting outside their vessel, surrounded by portable scanner equipment and what looked like medical supplies. "Good morning," Jake called out. "Ready for day 2? Ambassador Velther approached cautiously. "You and Jake, we spent the night reviewing our sensor data. Our analysis suggests that we severely underestimated the danger level of your planet." "Because of the honey badger?" Jake asked. "Because of everything," Dr. Chun interjected. "We accessed Earth's information networks overnight. Your oceans contain creatures that could destroy our largest warships. Your insects include species that can kill with a single sting. Even your plants are weaponized." Lisa joined them, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "They found out about sharks and bees, didn't they? And poison ivy, venomous snakes, bears, crocodiles, hippos, box jellyfish, Komodo dragons, and something called kangaroo that apparently boxes." Velther's quills were standing completely upright. "How do you survive?" Jake accepted the coffee from Lisa gratefully. "We're careful, we're smart, and we respect nature. But we don't let fear stop us from living. Come on, I'll show you." The group made their way into the main facility. Today's tour included the reptile house, and Jake could already see the aliens' anxiety levels rising. The building's temperature was carefully controlled to accommodate the cold-blooded residents. "This feels like a sauna," one of the smaller aliens complained. "Some reptiles need heat to survive," Jake explained, leading them to the first exhibit. Behind thick glass, a massive reticulated python lounged on a branch. The snake was easily 20 feet long. Every single alien took 5 steps backward. "That is a constrictor-class predator." Dr. Chun's scanner was screaming warnings. "It could easily kill and consume a creature our size." "Yeah, pythons are ambush predators," Jake agreed. "They're incredibly strong. But see how calm it is. It was fed 3 days ago, so it's not hunting. We understand its behavior patterns." "You feed it?" Velther sounded horrified. "Voluntarily?" Lisa laughed. "Someone has to. That's part of conservation work. We care for animals that might not survive in the wild anymore. Yes, some of them are dangerous, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve protection." They moved through the reptile house slowly. The aliens were fascinated despite their fear. Jake explained the difference between venomous and non-venomous snakes. He showed them the specialized equipment used for handling dangerous species. He even introduced them to Sally, a corn snake that was used for educational programs. "This one is harmless to humans," Jake said, draping Sally across his shoulders. The snake settled comfortably, her tongue flicking out to taste the air. The aliens looked like they might pass out. "You're allowing it to make physical contact." One alien shrieked. "It could strike at any moment." "Sally? No way. She's the friendliest snake we have." Jake gently stroked the snake's scales. "She's been handled since she was hatched. She associates humans with warmth and safety." Dr. Chun was taking extensive notes. "Remarkable. You've actually formed a bond with a predatory reptile. On my world, such a thing would be considered insane. On Earth, we call it Tuesday," Lisa quipped. The group exited the reptile house, and Jake led them toward the aquatic exhibits. He had debated whether to show them the ocean life videos, but decided they needed to understand the full scope of Earth's biodiversity. The aquarium building featured both freshwater and saltwater tanks. The aliens seemed slightly more comfortable here, perhaps because the water provided an extra barrier. That comfort vanished when they saw the piranha tank. "Those are shoaling predators with razor-sharp teeth," Velther observed, "capable of stripping flesh from bone in minutes." "In the wild, sure," Jake said, "but they're also pretty timid unless they're starving." Most piranha attacks happen when people do something stupid, like swimming in their territory during breeding season. He showed them the sea turtles, which the aliens found less threatening. Then came the jellyfish display, which prompted another round of scanner alarms. Some jellies are venomous, Jake admitted. But these are moon jellies. Their sting can't even penetrate human skin. They're basically harmless. Everything on this planet is qualified with basically or mostly harmless, one alien muttered. Never fully harmless. They reached the main viewing theater where Jake had prepared a special presentation. The lights dimmed and a massive screen lit up with underwater footage. The aliens settled into their seats cautiously. The video started peacefully enough, showing colorful coral reefs and tropical fish. Then a great white shark glided into frame. The aliens collectively gasped. The shark was enormous, its black eyes scanning for prey, its mouth full of serrated teeth. Great white sharks are apex predators, Jake narrated. They can grow up to 20 feet long and weigh over 2 tons. Their bite force is around 4,000 pounds per square inch. And humans swim in the same waters. Dr. Chun asked weakly. Some do. We've learned to understand shark behavior. Most shark attacks are cases of mistaken identity. They think a surfboard is a seal. Once they realize it's a human, they usually leave. Usually? Several aliens echoed. The video continued, showing orcas, giant squids, blue whales, and saltwater crocodiles. Each creature prompted new waves of alarm from the alien delegation. By the time the presentation ended, they looked emotionally exhausted. Why do you preserve these creatures? Velther asked quietly. They could kill you so easily. Why not eliminate the threats? Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. This was the question they'd been waiting for. Because they were here first, Lisa said simply. Earth belongs to all its inhabitants, not just humans. Every species has a role in the ecosystem. Besides, they're magnificent. Why would we destroy something so incredible? Even if it's dangerous? An alien pressed. Especially if it's dangerous, Jake replied. Danger doesn't mean worthless. It means we need to be smarter, more careful, more respectful. That's how humans have always operated. Velther's quills rippled in what Jake was learning to recognize as thoughtfulness. This explains much about human behavior. You don't eliminate threats. You adapt to them. Exactly. Jake smiled. Now, are you ready to see the big cats? The color drained from every alien face. An hour later, Jake stood outside the lion enclosure with the terrified delegation. Inside, a magnificent male lion lay in the shade, his mane golden in the afternoon sun. 2 lionesses dozed nearby. These are African lions, Jake explained. They're social predators that live in family groups called prides. That male is King. He's 12 years old. It's enormous, one alien whispered. Our scans indicate it could kill any of us with a single bite. Probably, Jake admitted. Lions are incredibly powerful. But King is well-fed, healthy, and content. He has no reason to be aggressive. Watch. Jake picked up a long pole with a feather toy attached. He dangled it near the fence, and King's eyes immediately locked onto it. The massive predator stood, muscles rippling under his fur, and patted closer. He swatted at the toy like an oversized house cat. The aliens couldn't believe what they were seeing. It's playing? Dr. Chun asked. A top-tier predator is engaging in recreational activity? All intelligent animals play, Lisa explained. It keeps them mentally and physically stimulated. Even dangerous ones. Jake put the toy away, and King wandered back to his spot in the shade. The lion yawned, showing teeth that could crush bone, then settled down for another nap. You work with these creatures every day? Velther asked Jake. Without fear? Jake considered the question. I have respect, not fear. There's a difference. I know what they can do, so I'm careful. But I also know their personalities, their moods, their body language. King and I have an understanding. An understanding with a predator, an alien muttered. Incredible. They were walking back toward the main building when Velther stopped suddenly. Human Jake, I must ask you something. Yesterday, you showed us the honey badger. Today, you've shown us creatures far larger and more powerful. Yet you showed no fear of any of them. How is this possible? What makes humans so fearless? Jake thought about it for a moment. He looked back at the honey badger exhibit in the distance, then at the lion enclosure behind them. You want to know why I'm not afraid? Jake asked. Yes. The entire delegation answered. Jake turned and pointed directly at the honey badger enclosure. Then he just shrugged. Because Earth taught us well. Every creature here, from the smallest honey badger to the largest whale, taught humanity the same lesson. Size doesn't matter. Strength doesn't matter. Teeth and claws don't matter. What matters is attitude. The honey badger doesn't care that lions are beta. It fights anyway. Humans learned from that. He continued. We're not the strongest species on Earth. We're not the fastest, not the most venomous, not the best swimmers. But we're stubborn. We're adaptable. We never quit. Just like honey badgers. Dr. Chun's eyes widened. You modeled your survival strategy after the most aggressive creature on your planet. We didn't model it, Lisa said softly. We evolved it. Same environment, same challenges, same solution. Never back down. The aliens looked at each other, then back at the humans, then at the honey badger exhibit. Understanding dawned across their various faces. No wonder humans seemed fearless. Day 3 of the alien visit dawned with unexpected excitement. Jake had planned a tour of the primate sanctuary, figuring that seeing Earth's closest relatives might help the aliens understand humans better. He had no idea just how educational the day would become. Ryan Mitchell, the center's primatologist, met them at the sanctuary entrance. He was a tall man with kind eyes and hands that bore dozens of tiny scars from years of working with monkeys and apes. Jake told me you folks are from Offworld. Ryan said enthusiastically. This is so cool. Wait until you see our gorilla family. They're amazing. The aliens exchanged nervous glances but followed Ryan and Jake inside. The sanctuary was designed to mimic natural habitats as closely as possible. Trees grew throughout the indoor spaces, connected by ropes and platforms. Natural sunlight filtered through massive skylights. This facility houses various primate species, Ryan explained. We have capuchins, spider monkeys, orangutans, and our pride and joy, a family of western lowland gorillas. Gorillas? Dr. Chun checked her database. Those are classified as megafauna. Adult males can exceed 400 pounds. Our silverback, Magnus, is about 420, Ryan said proudly. He's incredibly gentle, though. Come on, viewing area is this way. They walked along a raised pathway that offered views into the main gorilla habitat. Below, several gorillas moved about peacefully. A female sat grooming a younger gorilla. Another played with a barrel, rolling it back and forth. And there, sitting against a tree, was Magnus. The silverback was absolutely massive. His shoulders were broader than any human's, his arms thick with muscle. The silver hair across his back caught the light, giving him an almost ethereal appearance. He was eating bamboo, carefully stripping the outer layer before consuming the tender inside. Every alien scanner immediately went haywire. Threat level maximum. The devices shrieked. Extreme danger. Evacuate immediately. Oh, turn those things off, Ryan laughed. Magnus is a sweetheart. Watch. He called down to the gorilla. Hey, Magnus. Got visitors, buddy? Magnus looked up. His dark eyes studied the group above. Then he made a soft huffing sound and went back to his bamboo. See? Completely chill. Ryan beamed. Sophie Grant, the center's emergency response coordinator, joined them on the viewing platform. She carried a tablet and looked slightly stressed. Ryan, we need to talk about the holding area door, Sophie said. Maintenance is reporting some issues with the electronic lock system. Again? Ryan frowned. That's the third time this month. Did they fix it? They're working on it now, Sophie replied. But maybe we should move the tour to a different section until an alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. Red warning lights began flashing. A mechanical voice announced, Containment breach in Sector 4. Containment breach in Sector 4. All personnel initiate emergency protocols. Jake's blood ran cold. Sector 4 was the gorilla habitat. Sophie was already on her radio. This is Grant. What's the situation? The electronic lock failed completely. A voice crackled back. Magnus pushed through the holding area door. He's in the service corridor. The alien's panic was immediate and absolute. Shields activated, emergency beacons started broadcasting, and Velther was shouting into a communication device about evacuation procedures. Everyone calm down, Ryan commanded. His entire demeanor had changed from friendly educator to focused professional. Sophie, seal off sectors 3 and 5. Jake, get our guests to the safe room. I'll handle Magnus. I'm coming with you, Jake said firmly. Absolutely not. Velther protested. That creature could tear you apart. We must evacuate. Our shuttle has defensive capabilities. No. Ryan cut him off. If you start shooting at Magnus, he'll panic. A panicked gorilla is dangerous. Let us handle this. Jake was already moving. Lisa, take them to the safe room. Lock the door and don't open it until we give the all clear. Jake, be careful. Lisa grabbed the nearest alien and started herding the group towards safety. Jake and Ryan raced down the stairs. They grabbed emergency equipment from a supply closet, tranquilizer guns, first aid kits, and protective gear. But Ryan left the tranquilizers untouched. We're not drugging him unless absolutely necessary, Ryan said. That stuff is dangerous, especially for gorillas. We do this the right way. They moved quickly but calmly through the corridors. Jake could hear Magnus ahead, the distinctive knuckle-walking gait of a silverback, the occasional huff of breath. They found him in the main service corridor, looking confused and slightly agitated. Magnus stood upright when he saw them, making himself look even bigger. He was magnificent and terrifying at the same time. His eyes held intelligence and emotion. He vocalized a deep rumbling sound that Jake felt in his chest. Hey, big guy, Ryan said softly. He didn't approach, didn't make any sudden moves. Got yourself turned around, didn't you? Magnus huffed again. He dropped back to all fours, his massive hands flat on the floor. Jake slowly circled around to close off the corridor behind Magnus. Not to trap him, but to prevent him from going deeper into the facility. Meanwhile, Ryan stayed in front, keeping the gorilla's attention. Where's your family, Magnus? Ryan continued in that same calm voice. Let's go back to them, okay? Everyone's worried about you. The gorilla sat down. He looked from Ryan to Jake, then back to Ryan. His body language wasn't aggressive. He was stressed, not angry. Ryan very carefully sat down too. This was the critical moment. By making himself smaller, less threatening, he was communicating in a language Magnus understood. Jake watched in awe as Ryan began a series of gentle vocalizations. The primatologist had spent years learning gorilla communication. Magnus responded with softer sounds in his own. That's right, buddy, Ryan cooed. Everything's okay. Nobody's mad at you. Doors are confusing. Slowly, incredibly slowly, Ryan stood up. He took a half step backward. Magnus watched but didn't react aggressively. Ryan took another step back, then gestured toward the habitat entrance. Come on, Magnus. This way. Let's go see the family. The massive silverback considered for a long moment. Then, as if making a decision, he knuckle-walked toward Ryan. Not in a charge, not aggressively, but in the steady gait of a gorilla, simply going where he wanted to go. Ryan walked backward, maintaining eye contact and a steady stream of calming sounds. Jake followed behind, ready to assist but not interfering. They made a strange parade through the service corridors. They reached the habitat entrance. Magnus paused at the doorway. Inside, his family was visible through the observation glass. The females had gathered, clearly anxious about the silverback's absence. There you go, Ryan said gently. Home sweet home. Magnus looked at Ryan one more time. Then he huffed softly and walked back into his habitat. The moment he was inside, Sophie remotely activated the emergency barriers. Heavy transparent panels slid silently into place, securing the area. The female gorillas immediately surrounded Magnus, touching him, vocalizing. One of the younger gorillas even play-slapped his leg. It was clear they were both relieved and annoyed with him. Jake and Ryan stood in the corridor, adrenaline slowly fading. They looked at each other and started laughing. 420 pounds of gorilla, Jake said, and you talked him back home. He's not a monster, Ryan replied. He's just a guy who got confused. Why would I treat him any differently? They made their way back to the safe room. When they opened the door, they found all the aliens huddled in the far corner. Shields still active, scanners still screening warnings. Is it contained? Valther asked. Did you have to destroy it? Destroy him? Ryan looked offended. Magnus is fine. He's back with his family. But how? Dr. Chun stepped forward, her scanner focused on Ryan. Our instruments detected no weapons discharge, no chemical suppressants, no electromagnetic restraints. How did you neutralize a threat of that magnitude? We didn't neutralize anything, Jake explained. We just guided him home. You approached an escaped mega-predator without weapons. An alien asked in disbelief. Magnus isn't a predator, Ryan said patiently. Gorillas are primarily herbivorous. And he's not a weapon or a threat. He's an intelligent being who got stressed when a door malfunctioned. I've known Magnus for 8 years. Why would I hurt him? The aliens processed this information. Commander Hayes, a military observer who had been silent until now, stepped forward. Let me understand correctly, Hayes said slowly. Your containment failed. A creature capable of easily killing you escaped. Instead of eliminating the threat or calling for armed support, you approached it unarmed and convinced it to return to captivity voluntarily. It's not captivity, Ryan corrected. It's conservation. And yes, that's exactly what we did. Why? Hayes pressed. Because that's how you handle a scared gorilla. Ryan said, violence would have made everything worse. Magnus could have hurt himself trying to escape. He could have damaged the facility. Someone might have gotten injured. Instead, we used what we know about gorilla behavior and communication. 10 minutes, no injuries, no trauma. That's how it's supposed to work. Hayes pulled out a recording device. I need to file a report about this. My superiors will want to know about human capabilities in crisis situations. It's not really a crisis, though, Jake said. It's just a normal day in wildlife conservation. Dr. Chun was furiously taking notes. You're telling me this is standard procedure? Approaching dangerous. 3 weeks had passed since the alien delegation's visit to Earth. The experience had generated intense interest throughout the galactic community. So much interest, in fact, that Jake Morrison found himself invited to a joint research station in orbit to present on Earth wildlife conservation. The station, called Unity Hub, was a massive structure where dozens of species lived and worked together. Jake had never been to space before, and the view of Earth from orbit took his breath away. His own planet looked so peaceful from up here, wrapped in swirling white clouds and deep blue oceans. Megan Foster, a wildlife transport specialist, had accompanied Jake. She was responsible for the special cargo they'd brought, several rescued Earth animals being transferred to a new conservation satellite. The satellite would serve as an off-world backup population for endangered species. "Still can't believe I'm in space," Megan said, checking the climate-controlled cargo bay. Inside were several specialized containers, each housing an animal that needed relocation. "Did you check on the crocodile?" "Salty is fine," Jake replied. The Nile crocodile they'd nicknamed Salty was a rescue from an illegal breeding operation. "Sleeping like a baby." "Well, like a baby that could bite your leg off." "What about the others?" "Wolverine is pacing. That's normal for her. The cassowary is calm. Everything's stable." Jake consulted his datapad. "We dock with the conservation satellite in 6 hours. Captain Brooks, head of Unity Hub Security, had been incredibly helpful. The gruff human veteran had served in Earth's early Space Force before transferring to interspecies cooperation work. He'd personally approved their cargo and helped them navigate the complex docking procedures. "Just keep those containers sealed," Brooks had warned. "Most species up here have never seen Earth wildlife." "Don't need to panic." Ambassador Dexner from the krill species had also been aboard. The krill were apex predators from their own world, large, muscular beings with natural armor plating and retractable claws. They commanded respect throughout the galaxy. Dexner had seemed particularly interested in Earth's predators. Everything had been going smoothly. Then the pirates attacked. Alarms blared throughout Unity Hub. Emergency bulkheads began sealing sections of the station. Jake and Megan were in the cargo bay when they heard Captain Brooks' voice over the intercom. "All personnel, this is not a drill. Hostile boarding action in progress. Krill pirate vessel has breached the eastern docking ring. Stay in secure locations. Security teams respond." "Pirates?" Megan's eyes went wide. In the middle of a diplomatic station? Jake's mind raced. They were in the cargo bay with no weapons and no combat training. The bay had minimal security because nobody expected trouble in this section. "We need to hide," Jake said. "Help me move these supply crates." They quickly built a makeshift barrier, creating a small defensive position. Through the cargo bay's observation window, they could see krill pirates moving through the adjacent corridor. There were 6 of them, all heavily armed. The krill were terrifying. Each stood over 7 feet tall with thick armor plating covering their bodies. Their claws extended from powerful arms. One turned toward the cargo bay window and grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. "They're coming this way," Megan whispered. The cargo bay door exploded inward. The pirates had used some kind of breaching charge. 3 krill warriors stomped into the bay, their weapons raised. "Look at this," one growled in heavily accented standard. Humans, soft little deathworlders playing with pets. The leader, identified by more elaborate armor, approached their barrier. "Stay down and you won't be hurt much. We're here for the station's power cores. You're just a bonus." Jake and Megan crouched behind the crates. The pirates began searching the cargo bay, looking for valuables. One approached the animal containers. "What's in these?" The pirate called out. He slammed his fist against the container. The wolverine inside hissed. "Don't." Jake shouted. "Those are climate-controlled habitats. If you damage them, you'll what?" The lead pirate laughed. You're unarmed prey. We're krill. We've conquered dozens of worlds. You think we fear humans? The pirate raised his weapon and deliberately shot the nearest container. The climate controls sparked and died. Emergency vents opened automatically to prevent overheating. The container's door malfunctioned. It swung open. Out stepped the Wolverine. The 30-pound mustelid looked around the cargo bay with beady eyes. She saw the krill pirates. Her lip curled back, revealing sharp teeth. Then she made a sound that Jake had only heard once before, a deep rattling growl that spoke of absolute fearlessness. "What is that?" one pirate asked. "It's tiny." Another laughed. "Earth predators are pathetic." The Wolverine charged. She hit the nearest krill like a furry missile. Her claws found gaps in the armor plating. Her teeth sank into exposed flesh. The pirate screamed and tried to shake her off, but Wolverines don't let go. "Get it off me." The pirate shrieked. His companions tried to help, but the Wolverine was too fast, too aggressive, too absolutely insane. She released the first pirate only to latch onto another. Blood was flowing. The krill were panicking. In the chaos, another container was struck by weapons fire. The cassowary emerged. The 6-foot-tall flightless bird from Australia took one look at the situation and decided violence was the answer. Its powerful legs, each tipped with a dagger-like claw, became weapons. It kicked one pirate so hard he flew backward into a wall. "What is happening?" The lead pirate yelled. "They're just animals." The third container's door had been damaged in the firefight. It opened just enough for its occupant to force through. Salty the Nile crocodile pulled her 12-foot body into the cargo bay. The temperature in the bay was wrong for her. The surface was unfamiliar, and there were threats everywhere. Salty did what crocodiles do when threatened. She attacked the nearest target. Her jaws, capable of generating 3,700 pounds of bite force, clamped onto a krill's leg. The pirate's armor crumpled like aluminum foil. He screamed and fell. Salty began the death roll, a crocodilian hunting technique that disabled prey. The cargo bay had become absolute pandemonium. The Wolverine was still fighting, now having climbed onto a pirate's back. The cassowary was using its claws and beak to devastating effect. Salty had dragged one pirate to the floor and showed no intention of releasing him. Jake looked at Megan. Now! They burst from their hiding spot. The pirates were completely distracted by Earth's wildlife. Jake grabbed a heavy wrench from a tool rack. He swung it at the nearest pirate's weapon hand. The gun clattered away. Megan, who had done martial arts training since childhood, swept another pirate's legs. He went down hard. She grabbed his weapon and pointed it at him. "Stay down." The lead pirate tried to retreat but backed into the cassowary. The bird kicked him. He stumbled forward right into Jake's fist. It wasn't a great punch, but the pirate was already off balance. He fell. Captain Brooks and his security team burst into the cargo bay 30 seconds later. They found a scene of total chaos. 3 krill pirates were unconscious. 2 were desperately trying to escape from Earth animals. 1 was crying and begging for mercy while the Wolverine sat on his chest, still growling. Brooks stared in disbelief. "What happened here?" he demanded. "The containers got damaged," Jake said, slightly out of breath. "The animals defended themselves." "Defended themselves?" Brooks looked at the cassowary, which was calmly preening its feathers like nothing had happened. "That bird just took down a krill warrior." "Cassowaries are actually really dangerous," Megan explained. "They've killed people before, but only when threatened." Brooks' security team secured the pirates. They handled the krill very carefully, clearly impressed and intimidated by species that had just been defeated by Earth wildlife. One security officer approached the Wolverine cautiously. The mustelid watched him with suspicious eyes. "Don't," Jake warned. "Let me." He pulled out a special treat from his pocket. Dried meat he brought for exactly this purpose. "Hey, girl. Good job. Want a snack?" The Wolverine's demeanor changed instantly. She hopped off the pirate and waddled over to Jake. She took the treat gently and began eating. "It's eating from your hand," the security officer said in shock. "After just mauled 3 pirates." "She's not mad at me," Jake said. "I'm not a threat." Megan was working on getting Salty back into her container. The crocodile was reluctant to release the pirate, but eventually did. The krill warrior scrambled away, his armor shredded. The cassowary simply walked back to its container and settled in. Apparently, it had made its point. Ambassador Dexner arrived as the prisoners were being led away. The distinguished krill diplomat looked at his species' warriors, bloodied, terrified, and defeated by creatures a fraction of their size. "This is impossible," Dexner said. "Krill are the greatest warriors in 3 sectors. How did you defeat them?" "We didn't," Jake said honestly. "The animals did. We just helped. Those creatures are so small." Dexner protested. "So is a honey badger," Captain Brooks said. He'd clearly read Jake's reports from the alien visit. But size doesn't matter. What matters is attitude. One of the captured pirates looked up at Dexner. "Sir, we didn't know. Nobody told us Earth animals were like that." The Wolverine wouldn't stop. The bird had claws like swords. And that reptile, he shuddered. "We trained to fight armed opponents, not insane Deathworld monsters that..." The Galactic Council chamber was the largest room Jake Morrison had ever seen. It stretched upward for hundreds of feet, with viewing galleries for each member species arranged in concentric circles. Holographic displays floated everywhere, translating speeches into thousands of languages simultaneously. The whole place hummed with barely contained tension. Jake sat nervously between Kate Anderson, Earth's official representative to the Council, and Alex Turner. A comparative biology specialist had been studying the differences between Earth life and galactic norms. They were at the center of the chamber floor, surrounded by thousands of alien representatives. "Breathe," Kate whispered. "You've handled lions." "This is nothing. Lions don't vote on whether humanity stays in the galactic community," Jake whispered back. The Unity Hub incident had sparked a crisis. News of Earth animals defeating krill pirates had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Some species were fascinated. Others were terrified. Many were demanding humanity's expulsion from the Council, claiming Earth was too dangerous to integrate. Council Director Zephyrim called the session to order. The ancient being species, the Elders, were among the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Zephyrim had seen empires rise and fall. Right now, those wise old eyes were focused on Jake. "We are here to address the Earth question," Zephyrim announced. "Multiple species have raised concerns about human integration. Ambassador Dexner, you requested this session. Please present your case." The krill ambassador stood. Even now, after everything, Dexner cut an imposing figure. But Jake noticed the ambassador's posture was different, thoughtful rather than aggressive. "Council members," Dexner began, "I have spent considerable time studying Earth and its inhabitants. What I have learned challenges everything we thought we knew about Deathworlds and their peoples." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "My species, the krill, pride ourselves on martial prowess," Dexner continued. "We have never been defeated in direct combat by a species smaller than ourselves. Until we encountered Earth wildlife. Small creatures, none weighing more than a krill child, defeated trained warriors. This alone warrants serious consideration. Are you arguing humans are a military threat?" Another ambassador called out. I'm arguing we fundamentally misunderstand them. Dexner replied, but let the humans speak. I wish to hear their explanation. All eyes turned to Kate. She stood gracefully. Thank you, Ambassador. Rather than speak myself, I'd like to introduce someone who can better explain Earth's nature. This is Jake Morrison, head zookeeper at the Terran Wildlife Conservation Center. He spent his life studying and working with Earth's most dangerous creatures. Jake stood, his legs slightly shaky. Thousands of aliens watched him. He cleared his throat. I'm just a zookeeper, he began. I'm not a soldier or a scientist. I take care of animals. But I think that's exactly why I should talk to you today. Alex activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared. Oceans, forests, deserts, jungles. This is my home, Jake continued. Earth is what you've classified as a Class 12 death world. I didn't know that until a few weeks ago. To me, it's just home. But I understand now that what seems normal to humans is terrifying to most of you. The display shifted to show various Earth animals. A honey badger appeared first, and Jake heard several species gasp. This is a honey badger, Jake said. It weighs about 30 pounds. According to your classifications, it's one of the most aggressive creatures in the known galaxy. You want to know something funny? On Earth, honey badgers aren't even considered particularly dangerous to humans. They're just annoying. Annoying? Someone asked incredulously. Yeah. They break into beehives, fight off lions, and generally don't care about anything. But they're not hunting humans. They're just living their lives. Jake smiled. And that's the thing about Earth. Almost nothing there is actually trying to kill us. Alex brought up more images. Lions, sharks, crocodiles, bears. These are apex predators, Jake explained. Could they kill a human? Absolutely. But they don't want to. Most of the time, they'd rather avoid us. We learn to read their body language, understand their behavior, respect their space. In return, they mostly leave us alone. Mostly? An alien pressed. Nothing's perfect, Jake admitted. Sometimes things go wrong. People get hurt. But that's life on Earth. We accept the risks because the alternative is destroying everything around us. And what kind of existence would that be? The display shifted again, showing Jake at work in the conservation center. The footage was from the alien delegation's visit. It showed him handling snakes, playing with lions, calmly working with Magnus the gorilla. Watch how he moves, Alex narrated. No fear response, but also no aggression. Complete confidence born from understanding. This is how humans interact with their world. Zephyrim leaned forward. Young human, explain something to me. Why do you preserve these dangerous creatures? Why not eliminate the threats? Jake had been waiting for this question. Because they were here first, he said simply. Earth doesn't belong to humans. It belongs to all its inhabitants. Every creature has a right to exist. Besides, he smiled. There are teachers. Teachers? Multiple voices echoed. Everything humans are, we learn from Earth's creatures. Jake explained. We learn persistence from honey badgers, cooperation from wolves, adaptability from cockroaches, patience from crocodiles. Every animal taught us something. Why would we destroy our teachers? The display now showed the Unity Hub incident. The Wolverine attacking pirates. The cassowary fighting. Salty the crocodile defending her space. These animals weren't being aggressive, Jake said. They were scared. Their homes were damaged. Strange creatures were attacking. And they did what any cornered animal does. They fought back. That's not evil or monstrous. That's survival. But they show no fear. Someone protested. Even against superior forces. Because fear doesn't help when you're committed to a fight, Jake replied. Honey badgers taught us that. If you're going to fight, give it everything. Don't hesitate, don't hold back, don't quit. That's not about being aggressive. It's about survival. Kate stood again. The council needs to understand something. Humans didn't choose to be aggressive. We evolved on a world where aggression was necessary for survival. But we also evolved intelligence, empathy, and cooperation. We could have wiped out Earth's megafauna. We have the technology. Instead, we protect them. Alex brought up new data. I've analyzed hundreds of extinct megafauna species across the galaxy. In 97% of cases, intelligent species eliminated large predators as they developed technology. Earth is unique. Humans actively preserve their apex predators. Why? Zephyrim asked. Why preserve something that could kill you? Because they're magnificent. Jake said passionately. Because they're part of Earth's story. Because losing them would make the universe a little less amazing. Isn't that enough? The chamber fell silent. Finally, Ambassador Velther stood. The gentle herbivore species representative spoke carefully. I visited Earth, Velther said. I was terrified. Everything there seemed designed to kill. But I watched Jake Morrison. I watched Lisa Parker. I watched Ryan Mitchell. These humans face danger daily with nothing but knowledge and compassion. They could weaponize their animals. They could use their Deathworld advantages for conquest. Instead, they use them for conservation. The krill pirates learned a harsh lesson, Dexner added. But consider what happened. Human Jake Morrison didn't order those animals to attack. They defended themselves. And afterward, he fed them treats and put them to bed. What warrior does that? A warrior who doesn't see enemies everywhere, Kate said. A warrior who understands that strength without compassion is just brutality. The debate continued for hours. Species after species voiced opinions. Some argued humanity was too dangerous. Others argued they were too valuable to lose. The chamber was divided. Finally, Council Director Zephyrim called for silence. I have heard enough, the ancient being said. The council will vote. But first, one final question for Zookeeper Morrison. Jake stood again. You showed the alien delegation a honey badger, Zephyrim said. You pointed at it when asked why you weren't afraid. Explain that choice. Jake thought carefully. The honey badger is small, he said. It's not the strongest, fastest, or most dangerous creature on Earth. But it has something special. It absolutely refuses to give up. Lions are bigger. It doesn't care. Snakes are venomous. It doesn't care. The honey badger fights anyway. He paused. Humans are like that. We're not the strongest species in the galaxy. We're not the oldest or most advanced. But we don't quit. We adapt. We learn. We cooperate. And we protect what matters to us. That's what the honey badger taught us. And what matters to you? Zephyr asked. Life, Jake said simply. All life. Earth taught us that every creature has value. We want to share that lesson with the galaxy. The council voted. It took 3 hours to count. The chamber was silent as results came in. Finally, Zephyrim announced the decision. The Galactic Council votes to maintain Earth's membership. Relief flooded through Jake. However, we are upgrading your classification. Earth is now recognized as a Class 12 Death World with Level 7 strategic importance. This reflects both your planet's danger and your species' unique capabilities. What does that mean? Kate asked.